die in the last video? Yeah, I was just like Batman. I ran my back into a wall. It really hurt. I laid there and died. Then at the top it said, RIP, Trev talks. Holy shit, I'm immortal! The film adaptation of that cool math games game, Fireboy and Water Girl, is finally here. And I just gotta say, this might be, hands down, the worst video game or just game adaptation I have ever seen. They do not a damn thing from these games. Heck, it's not even Fireboy and Water Girl. It's Fire Girl and Water Boy. What the hell? But before we get to Elemental, I want to talk about Carl's Date first, the short film before the movie. This is basically just an extra short from that Doug Day series on Disney+, even starting with the intro from that show. But all in all, it's a good little short with some funny bits, but the one thing that really stands out about this short is the ending. It's called Carl's Date, but we never do see the date or see how it went. Really what it is just a nice little send-off to Ed Asner and him saying goodbye to Doug and telling Ellie that he got to go on his own adventure. So if you didn't know that Ed Asner passed away 2 years ago, you probably won't think much of the ending, but with that in mind, it is a little emotional. But I thought Carl's Date was a good, funny short with a heartfelt send-off to both Ed and the character of Carl. Okay, so now on to Elemental. Going into this movie, I did not have the highest hopes for it. The trailers really weren't doing anything for me. I thought the message of how elements can't mix is just so tired and has been done to death, and it really did just look like Zootopia with the elements. But it did look like it might have a few creative ideas. But even when a Pixar movie looks mediocre, I'm still gonna see it no matter what. And I'll say this, I did enjoy this movie enough, but it also gave me exactly what I expected from it. One thing you can always expect from Pixar is for the movie to look beautiful, no matter if the movie's just great or okay. And this is a gorgeous looking movie. This world that they inhabit is very creative looking, and you do want to know how everything works around here, and the character designs looked amazing, with some 2D animation for the fire people. I did really like our two leads, Wade and Ember. As the movie goes on, you do get very invested in their relationship. It is a very nice romance, and you do want to see them end up together. Despite the message of prejudice being overused in a lot of family movies nowadays, it is done well here, and it is a message that we still need. In this world, the fire people are seen as immigrants, and Ember's parents immigrated to Element City, and the fire people here are looked down upon. So with the relationship being between a fire girl and a water guy, they're basically an interracial couple, and that is handled very well, with like how Ember doesn't want her parents knowing about Wade, and Wade's parents are really cool with Ember. But my biggest problem with this movie is the story, or lack of story. Yeah, aside from the romance between Wade and Ember, there is barely a story here. There's this whole dilemma with a dam that's about to burst, and our two leads have to figure out how to stop it or it's gonna destroy the fire town, and that whole thing is just kind of there for plot convenience. It feels like they had better ideas for a Pixar short than a full Pixar movie, and you can tell that they weren't trying to make this one of their masterpieces. The world looks great, but it's not very well fleshed out or explained in the best way of how things work. Ember might be able to set a tree guy on fire, but she can hold a pamphlet perfectly fine without setting it ablaze. How does that work? They go to a basketball game where all the players are clouds, and at one point, Wade mentions that one of the players isn't doing so great because his mom is sick. Okay, what is she sick with? She's a cloud. How do clouds get sick? And what do they get sick with? How does anyone get sick in this world? Do elements go to the bathroom? I mean, they eat and drink, so does that mean water has to shit in the water? That's a little messed up. How do people die in this world? What are ways people can die in this world? No idea. With a message about prejudice, it really only seems like a majority of that prejudice is going towards the fire people. And to be honest, I can kind of see why Earth, Wind, and Fire don't like them. Because they can easily be hurt or even killed by the fire people. There will also be random points where things will be mentioned and then have nothing to do with the rest of the movie. One character mentions to Ember that there's a festival coming up, but we never see that festival in the entire movie, and it's never brought up again. So what was the point of that? Pixar has always been known for some pretty good humor, but here, it's mostly just puns, and they're all very obvious ones, like a truck called Triota, instead of donuts they have coal nuts, and there's two water kids named Marco and Polo. There was really only one joke that got a legit laugh out of me in the entire movie. There's also a running joke with how the water people keep crying over the littlest things, and honestly, it didn't make much sense. Maybe it's because tears are water, and so water can cry much easier. This is why things need to be more explained. This also does really feel like one of those Pixar movies that will be coming out alongside another much better Pixar movie in the same year. Like how in the same year you'll have Cars 3 and Coco, or Turning Red and Lightyear. If one turns out great, then the other one's just gonna be okay. But this is the only Pixar movie we're gonna be getting this year. There was actually one scene where I did relate to Ember a little bit, where she's having to run her dad's store and deal with stupid customers. they're having like a big blowout sale, so she puts stickers on everything, and one guy comes out to the counter and is like, yeah, how much for all these stickers? Elemental is definitely one of the weaker Pixar films, but it's still an enjoyable enough one. It's got some likable characters, beautiful animation, an overused but still good message, but the story isn't good and a lot of things make no sense. If you're a diehard Pixar fan like me, I still recommend seeing this movie. I'm glad I at least saw it once, but it's probably not one I'm going to revisit that much. I'm going to give Elemental a B. By the way, I saw this movie in 2D, but it looked like a lot of things might be really cool in 3D, so I do recommend seeing this in 3D. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, turn on the notification bell, and I'll be back with more reviews very soon. See you then.